What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here, and what I got for your face balls today is a little how-to video. This is OCD's mod shop. Real quick, I was going to show here the TwoSun TS165, the little RIT die job on the G10 scales there. Turned out pretty good. And yeah, used racing red. And so just add a little bit of flair to that guy. All right, so what we're going to do today is this ano finish right here. So I've had a lot of questions about it, and I figured what better way to do this than just go ahead and show exactly how it's done. So what I've got here is I got everything prepped up, ready to go. I got my knife scales right over here. Everything is, I'm going to do 2 knife scales, a pocket clip, and a backspacer. And then we'll put the knife together and see how it turns out. So what we need to do this, I've got a tub, but this is just nothing but just regular water in there. I've got a MAP gas torch right here. And my torch is, this is just a torch that you would use for like sweating copper or, you know, any sort of heating stuff up. You can use either propane or MAP gas with these style torches. I like MAP gas just because it burns hotter than propane. In this container right here, we have just straight ferric chloride acid, same acid that you use to etch carbon steel blades and stuff like that. And so let's just get into it here. Hopefully this video is not going to be ridiculously long. So we're going to hope that this turns out well. And this is the first time I've done this on camera. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully this isn't going to be too terribly loud. One thing that you definitely want to take care or do is you want to prep your parts really well. So the better that you prep your parts, the better your finish is going to turn out. So I have polished these extremely well. And personally, I like the polished finish better. You can do several different types of finish. Oh, and these are sitting in distilled water to keep an oxide layer from forming on that titanium. So right now, that's what's going on there. That's just distilled water in that glass. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and fire up the torch real quick. And I've got this on a pretty low setting here. Mainly, I did that, one, because we don't need to heat it crazy fast, but I also didn't want to blow out my microphone. So hopefully this isn't too terribly loud. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I got some paper towels laying over here. Just going to kind of dry that off real quick. Just a little bit. Now, what I've learned here is that I like to heat from the back side. And we're going to see this start to turn a bronze color. And at that point, when this starts to turn a bronze color, I am going to bang it in that acid. And, well, you're going to see what happens. So, get this thing heated up. So you can see there in the middle, it's starting to turn a bit of a bronze color. So you want to make sure to give good even heat all the way across your part. And you want to try to bring it up to temperature really consistently. And I'm just hanging this off some titanium wire here. Same wire that I use when I just do standard power supply style anodizing. Okay, we're getting pretty close there. You can see, hopefully, you can see this. So we're getting to the point where we're about to start glowing here with the titanium. Got a pretty good bronze color going on here. That's looking pretty uniform. We're going to call that about good right there. Alright, now that I've done that, I'm going to come out of the acid right into this water bath here. And I'm just cleaning the acid off. Just a little bit. I'm going to set my torch down here. Trying to watch the camera and do all this crap at the same time is proven to be just a little bit difficult here, but I'm going to set this right back in the distilled water for now. I'm going to grab the other scale here. Okay, I'm just drying it off a little bit there. I'm about to fire my torch up again. Oh, the igniter worked that time. Sometimes the igniter on this thing, this torch I've had for a long time, it doesn't always work as intended. The igniter's getting weak on it, but it does work sometimes. As you can see here, we're doing the lock bar side now. And then once all these parts are done, I will show them to you. It's really hard to kind of tell. You really have to wash them off after they're done to really get the full effect to see how it did. But so again, I'm just heating it up until this thing turns a little bronze color. Just from my experience so far, which I'm still learning, you know, just playing around with this, different timing, different coloration before you go into the acid. You can really change the effect and the colors that you get and all sorts of different things here. But so this one I'm doing a little earlier. If you take the titanium hotter, you're going to end up with less blues and purples and more kind of like really light colored blue and like some bronzish colors. So you know, we'll see how this turns out. Again, I'm still learning, so it's not a perfect scenario, but the great thing about working with titanium is that if you screw it up, you can just go ahead and take this ano off and redo her. So, you know, it's pretty fantastic in that way. So we're getting pretty close here. You can see there, got a bronze color going on. And we get the lock bar too hot, but okay, I think we're getting pretty close here. Like I said, we're going to come out of here and go straight into the water just to clean the acid off this ferric chloride here. Just like that. I'm just trying to, these scales got some holes and stuff in them, so I'm just trying to get the acid all off. I'm just going to go right back into there. All right, now We've got pocket clip. Next one I grabbed. Dry this guy off. Okay. We'll see if this works again. So obviously these smaller parts are going to go quite a bit faster to heat them up. My torch is a little turned down a little bit. There we go. So on these smaller parts, you really got to kind of watch them because it'll go really, really fast with how little material and especially how thin pocket clips are. The one cool thing about this is even after heating them up like this, you don't lose any of the elasticity of the titanium. It still keeps its, springiness, if you will. And yeah, titanium's interesting stuff all the way around. Hopefully I'm been on camera. I'm trying to look at this and there we go. Okay. Now, when you do set your torch down, be careful because you may end up getting that put someplace, you're paying so much attention to your part and whatnot, the end of your torch is still insanely hot. So be careful about that. Don't set it down somewhere where it's going to burn something or whatnot. Something to keep in mind. All right, now all we got left is the backspacer. And of course, it doesn't light for the last one. There we go. So again, I just polished these parts. So, depending on how the titanium's finished from the factory, this was the TwoSun TS198, I think, if I remember correctly. Really cool front flipper knife. Really, really cool slicey blade on this thing. It's a cool knife, so I'm excited to see how this thing turns out. But depending on how the titanium is finished from the factory, we'll just kind of determine, how much sanding and polishing you've got to do in order to get the thing polished. But definitely cool process, and so far my experience with this finish has been that it's pretty robust. It seems to hold up, maybe even a little bit better than just standard titanium anodizing, which is pretty cool. All right, there we go. I'm going to go right in there. Okay, now I'm going to grab these four real quick. I'm going to step right over here just for a second, and I'm going to wash these off, and then I'll be right back over there to show you what we're working with here. So this, like I said, it's a pretty cool process. It took me a little while to figure it out. I talked to some different people on Instagram, and it was kind of a trial and error a little bit, but I'd seen some pictures out there of guys doing this finish, and I thought it was super cool, and just wanted to kind of figure it out for myself. I'd gotten a power supply and was doing the standard anodizing, and this was just something that really interested me. So yeah, I went after it and tried to figure out what they were doing. And like I said, it took a little while, but we got her figured out. And I'm not saying that I'm the best at it or anything like that. I'm just experimenting still and coming up with different finishes and different looks. It's pretty interesting. And like I said, the one cool thing about it is that you can know, I'm not saying that it's just infinitely, you can't, I'm just guessing on this, but I'm assuming that there's going to be a limited number of times, you know, eventually you're going to start changing the dimensions of your part and stuff if you sand on it too much, and or use acid to etch the part to get this ano finish off. So, you know, eventually you're going to have to stop doing it, but definitely, you know, you can go a couple of times for sure. And yeah, so I would recommend trying or starting with, you know, some cheaper knives. You can buy some cheaper Chinese stuff, some TwoSun stuff, whatever, and do what you got to do, and, you know, practice and try different things, and, you know, it's not only fun, but you can come up with some really beautiful finishes. And if you're the type of person that likes to do this stuff on your own, like I am, then yeah, really cool. So, all right, we're back now, and all I did was take those off the wires and wash up the parts. So let me move this. So now you can see how much ferric chloride there is in that water there. It was just what was left over on the scales and the parts, but it was enough to turn that water all brown. I'm just going to move the torch out of the way completely. Okay, and then I've got all the parts here from my disassembly of the knife. Actually, I'm going to set that here. And then here are my parts. And so we're going to go ahead and dry these scales off. What are we at here? 17 minutes, so this isn't bad. We're going to be able to get this thing back together in a decent time frame. So, awesome. The parts so far are looking pretty cool. Definitely got a little different color on each side, which, you know, is fine. It's definitely got a unique look to it, that's for sure. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and strip the gloves. And I'm going to shut this fan off, so hopefully it's not so noisy. All right, get my Torx drivers here. I am going to start by, actually, I'm going to show it off. So, check this out. Let me see if I can change this a little bit. So I got a little bit of a light here. This never really turns out great without natural light, but there you go. You can see the finish that we got there. So definitely turned out pretty sweet. And I'll post some pictures of this thing. I'll post them on my Instagram and such. So definitely had a better polish on the outside of the knife than I did on the inside. And, you know, I just wasn't going to take the time. The knife wasn't nearly as well finished on the inside. I mean, it's smooth, but there were some milling lines and stuff, and I wasn't going to sand off a ton of material to make it perfectly polished on the inside. But, so that's the lock bar side. And this TwoSun here has got a steel lock bar insert with a ceramic detent ball. So I am going to go ahead and get my lock bar put back together, and then we can start assembling this knife. TwoSuns are really great for this because they're so easy to disassemble and reassemble, and they just yeah, they'll be perfectly centered, just really beautiful, and they don't use a shitload of Loctite right from the factory, which is always fantastic. So, all right, so on the show side scale, we ended up with a lot more bronze. So this one went, I ended up doing the lock bar side hotter. So this one ended up being more purple and more bronzish. So the colder one ended up more bronze, and we got some kind of purple and stuff. I mean, it looks really cool. And the lock bar side turned out totally different, but you can see there, really cool. So yeah, pretty awesome the way it turned out. And then of course the pocket clip and stuff. So let me start putting this guy back together. I don't want to make this an hour-long video, but I did want to make it a start to finish video. You know, I thought about cutting it up and stopping the video, but I'm glad that I was able to do this without stopping the video, which to me just makes it even that much cooler, I guess, or better, because it was just from start to finish. I mean, I didn't show you that I washed the scales off, but I'm pretty sure you guys still heard me talking over there, so hopefully that wasn't a problem. But all right, so TwoSun, we got the ceramic ball bearings here. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the bearings down. This one's got an internal blade stop that's pressed into the blade. Throw the back spacer down. All right. And I've got a little bit of knife pivot lube here. I'm going to throw down just a little bit of KPL light on the bearings. And I always build my knives show side down. And so then I've got the detent ball track sticking up, and I'll throw a little KPL heavy right in the detent ball hole, just enough to lubricate that detent ball so it slides around just fine. And we're going to throw down the other ball bearing. Throw down a little oil on that guy. Okay. The other milled washer. And now we're down to the scale. And oh boy, here we go. So sorry about the dogs barking, guys, but we're just gonna power through it. I'm assuming somebody just pulled into my driveway, but we're gonna just power through this because I'm almost done. And yeah, of course, couldn't have been another 2 minutes. The dogs always, regardless if they know who pulled in or not, doesn't matter. They just go ape shit. And yeah, I'm sure anybody out there that has dogs can relate. So not a whole lot I can do about it right at the moment. So you can see that I did this on my stove, and I used the microwave as the range hood. That was really just due to the lighting and some ventilation, so it worked out just fine. You don't get a lot of smoke or anything off of the acid. So here we go. So you can see the pocket clip. The lighting again it's not great, but it's the best I can do with artificial lighting, and due to the fact that it's wintertime, I'm not getting natural lighting. But you can see here we got some purples and blues and gold and bronze and all sorts of different colors. And then also on the back spacer, and this back spacer, you've got this lanyard hole here. But yeah, it turned out really, really cool. Something totally different. And so that is the process, guys. And you can see the knife there. Super cool. Lock bar side, show side, and both look totally different. which I think is pretty awesome. And like I said, guys, I'll get pictures of this and post them on my Instagram. And blade's probably a little tight here, but just for this, yeah, good enough for right now. And I'll fine tune this thing, but I will get some good pictures of this and post them up on my Instagram. And I may roll a couple pictures in here at the end of this film, so we'll see if I can do some editing like that. But anyway, for sure I'll throw some pictures up in the Instagram. So anybody's got any questions or whatever, leave those in the comments below. But that's the process, guys. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, pretty easy. And I'm going to guess, you know, for people that are doing any sort of custom knife mods and stuff, ferric chloride's probably something you already have. And a little propane torch you can buy at Walmart, whatever. They're all over the place. So, you know, this is stuff you can pick up at a local hardware store, order it off Amazon, whatever. And you can do this, you know, some people call it an entropic finish. You know, Stasa 23 was doing this and calling it a Stasified finish. And, you know, everybody's got their own word for it and whatever. But, yeah, I just think it's cool and it's beautiful. And on the right knife, it looks really fantastic. So I encourage everyone to go out. And if it's something that interests you, go out and play around with it. I'm sure there's going to be some guys that are not happy that I posted this on YouTube. The way I feel about it is that you know, there's a million things out there that teaches people how to change their own oil, but yet that doesn't stop there from being oil change places on every street corner in every town you go in. So just because there's information out there that shows people how to do stuff like this doesn't mean that people stop paying to have it done. There's still the vast majority of knife owners that are going to want this finish are going to pay someone to do this for them. And I just want to make it clear, I did not post this video. I'm not selling my services or anything like that. Hell, I'm still learning and just playing around and figuring it out. So yeah, you know, at this point, this is the second knife that I've done in this finish. I've done some other test pieces of titanium, but this is knife number 2. So, you know, by no means am I sitting here telling you that I'm a pro at this or know exactly the finish I'm going to get. But I kind of like the randomness of it, to be honest with you. It's pretty cool. So, like I said, guys, definitely polish your stuff up first. And yeah, you'll be pretty happy with the results for sure. So polish it, heat it, bang it in some acid, wash it off, and then it's almost glassy feeling. You know, it really does seem to be very, very durable. I'm not sure what the heat and the acid does to the surface finish of the titanium, but it definitely feels very, very durable. So there we go, guys. That's what I had for your face balls today. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will catch you next time. Have a good one. Later.